Previously on the Trogly's Guitar Show. If you guys get this video to 5,000 likes within the first 3 days, we can review that one too if you'd like. Yeah, we didn't quite get there, but Nicholas said, hey, I'll buy that if you review it, so that's an automatic there. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. So here's take two, this time the 60s neck vintage cherry finish of the new mahogany top Les Paul standards. But this time I want to dig more into the pickups. So quick recap, these were introduced last month. They cost $2,599 brand new, and all dealers will be stocking the TV yellow finish, but the Gibson.com exclusive is our vintage cherry, which we'll be fully documenting today. Each color comes in a 50s and 60s neck, so that just comes down to personal preference, and each of the 50s and 60s models have different tuners, different knobs, and pickup sets. So the 60s has the 60s burst buckers. The 50s comes with the burst bucker 1 and 2. You hear that all the time, but what is the actual difference? You can go to Gibson's website and read their detailed descriptions of it, and they both basically say, hey, this is a take on the original PAF. They are unpotted, so that means under high gain they might squeal. They each have unbalanced coil windings and are advertising airy tone, but the burst bucker 1 and 2 utilizes Alnico 2 magnets, whereas the 60s burst bucker set has the Alnico 5 magnets. So that's the biggest difference, is the magnets used within the pickups. These are going to be a little bit less attacking and hot, maybe a bit brighter, which with the mahogany top might actually be a good thing. However, the burst bucker 1 and 2s are going to be a little bit more hot. The burst bucker 1 is supposed to be a slightly lower output, the 2 is the medium stage, and there is an aftermarket burst bucker 3 that you could also put in that is the hottest of the 3. Average readings are supposed to be around 8.4 k ohms on those, and 8-ish on here, so I'll do a small comparison just to see, because sometimes reading product descriptions, which are really marketing, doesn't really help you necessarily, but that's one way we can make this review a little bit different from before. But other than what we've already talked about, what makes these new mahogany tops very interesting is the fact that they have the black binding on not only the body, but also the neck. Besides just our guitar, these also come with a case. It's just your regular Gibson brown case with red interior. But being a Gibson.com exclusive, if you buy it from the Gibson garage, you get this cool additional hang tag that they mark their special ones with. Here's a look at the original box tag for historical preservation, pre-pack checklist and warranty information, as well as the original price tag, case keys, Gibson strap, silica packet, Gibson app card, polishing cloth, your Gibson multi-tool, and blank truss rod cover, and a little baggie to put all those things in. So let's go ahead and throw this one onto the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs, and then we'll get to a playing sample, and Nicholas has actually pre-authorized some modifications to this one. Hopefully he didn't get too excited by that, because by modifications he said, please leave the pick guard off and change the truss rod cover to the blank one. So this is how this one will be staying. But before we get too far into this, I do want to say thank you to the 2,800 people who did click the like button on the last episode. It truly does help. But let's check out these pickups, see if it's even what they said it is. Backside of our first one reads Rhythm 61, so it is indeed a burst bucker, they just don't print that. And our bridge pickup is a lead 61. Now you might say, hey, why does that one have the patent applied for decal? But this one doesn't. Sometimes they just flake off during the installation process. But just like our other one, these are really long lead lengths. I got a chuckle reading some comments of how some people thought this is just so wasteful. And it really got me thinking, I guess in a roundabout way it is when they make these things. Because if you're making 10,000 pickups, this much additional wiring will really add up. However, to be fair, they don't exactly know what model these are going to be put in, and they also sell a lot of them in the pickup shop now. So it's probably best to leave them a little bit longer. That way you don't have to have short lead and long lead variations. But back to our pickup cavities, it's marked VE for very nice star. Nah, just kidding. It stands for vintage cherry. And I might say cherry does not start with an E. Don't ask me. It's because a different color code also uses C, so cherry's always been E in recent years. But our bridge pickup cavity, kind of like last time, but this time Les Paul Standard 6 for 60s, M for mahogany, 2024 production. But we can see our stained red mahogany top where we join on to our plain mahogany body. These are not weight relieved. And all things considered, the pickup routes are actually pretty clean on these. But our pickups within the circuit so far matches what the description said, 8.04 k ohms. Neck position slightly less at 7.95, and they play together at 4. Bridge and tailpiece time. We've got a regular Gibson ABR1 mounted onto Nashville style studs. You can use the Gibson multi-tool to adjust, or you can use the thumb wheels. And then your tailpiece is a lightweight one by Advanced Plating Incorporated. I already made my opinion clear last episode that I prefer the TV yellow over the cherry, but this does grow on you the more and more you see it. I just love that side profile shot. That is where this guitar is. It's not something the audience is going to appreciate, but you as the player, yes, you get to see that all the time. But somebody made the suggestion that they should do these up in Silver Fox, and I 100% agree with that. Even if it's not the yellowed version, because they don't seem to want to review that, just a straight up kind of dog hair ebony would be really cool too. I'm excited to see what the mod collection might do with these. But we've got our black reflector knobs, 2 volumes, 2 tones, 1 for each pickup set. And I really do like the ringy mahogany wood grain right here on the top. That is beautiful. But now we can move on from our mahogany body with mahogany top to our mahogany neck with rosewood fretboard. Kind of like our other example, it's a relatively light rosewood board, and that works pretty well with the black binding. But you've got your acrylic trapezoid inlays. They have a lot of nice yellowing coloring to it. That's kind of cool. And as is typical, you've got tooling marks along the binding and the fret nibs. But thankfully, no deep gouges into the fretboard. I would say this is pretty par for the course as far as what we've seen. But if you think it's too hard to see the black binding, don't worry, at least you still have the black fret nibs to verify that it's actually there. And the black binding gives you the white side markers. But here's another difference on this one today, the neck profile. So 1.71 inches at the nut, 2.11 at the 12th. First fret neck depth 0.81 and a skinny 0.9 by the 12th. Here's a look at that neck profile, first fret and 12th fret, and now compared to the 50s neck. I hope that helps you make the decision on which one you want, because everything else is the same. 24 3/4 inch scale, 12 inch fretboard radius. It just depends how skinny you like the neck. Moving on to the face of our headstock, we can see our truss rod, and everything's in good shape there. Here's a look at the blank truss rod cover that we're going to put on. Gives it a little bit more of a vintage flair, because bursts definitely do not have standard written on their truss rod covers. Otherwise, pretty standard up here. Gibson mother of pearl logo, Les Paul model in the center, and our shiny Grover tuners. But here we go, all strung back up with its brand new look. Now here's the thing about taking pick guards off of brand new Gibsons. To prevent damage to the top, they put this little felt pad on the back of the screw in the pickguard bracket. However, unfortunately, it is not nitro safe, so it actually does leave a small blemish on the finish right there. That's what that smudge is. It's a minor reaction to it resting on the top. Now, is it always visible? No, nowhere near as bad as the screw hole you have to live with, or the one over here on the side. Just something that's good to know about. I think most people would prefer that over a dig into the finish from a screw. Now we can move on to the backside. As far as the wiring, it's all the same stuff. Gibson branded pots with orange drop capacitors in all locations. And once again, a pretty clean route, all things considered. Got our black output jack plate, large style strap buttons in the usual locations. And the cherry finish does a good job of hiding the center seam line here. But if you get it in the light just right, you can still see it. Here's our thin binding in the cutaway, exposing the mahogany top. But hey, nice. Do you guys see what I see? We got a little bit of a flame figuring moving within the body here on the edge. Sometimes you'll find that in mahogany. Sadly though, that's not really on the side that you'll see much. I also noticed kind of an interesting wood grain formation right here. It's almost like a knot, but not exactly. It's just a little bit more grainy, and it caught their grain fill. I guess you could say it's like a heart. Now we can move up the backside of the neck until we get to our voluteless headstock and our Grover tuners. This one serial dates it to 2024, the 232nd day of the year, initial batch, production number 234, made in USA. All said and done, even without the pickguard, it's still a bit chunky, but its new owner loves that. 9 pounds, 13.7 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this one sounds. First, let's get familiar with this, then we'll do a comparison. That's a good all-around tone. They do sound a little bit bright. Honestly, I had to lower that bridge pickup. It was a little bit too attacking from its factory setup. I'd say this is a great rocking machine. Now let's compare them. That's kind of a tough comparison. I was loving this guitar until I tried that 50s neck. I'm trying to play the same on each, but when I switch back and forth between them, the different neck profiles just makes me play differently. Like the one lick over here feels way more comfortable on this guitar. Now we can try some cleans. Comparing them side by side, I definitely say these are the warmer humbuckers. You can hear that right away. Now, as you just saw, they both sound good in varying situations. But they are vastly different. So there we go, that was the documentation of our vintage cherry hog top, this time in the 60s neck with the 60s burst buckers. That was definitely eye-opening comparing them side by side, and it's funny just how different the neck profiles are. I can usually get along with mostly anything, but they definitely inspire you to play differently. But Nicholas, it's time to pack this guitar up and send it your way, and I hope you enjoy it, because I really liked this when I was doing my regular playing demo. Maybe even more than my other one, even though it's lighter. But when you compare them, I still definitely prefer that 50s neck profile. But as of the time of recording, the TV yellow one is still available, so you can find it for sale on my website, troglysguitarshow.com. All right, we'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next one. Take care.